Good morning, students. Myself, Subodh sir. Here again we are going to discuss about the Russian Revolution. In Russian Revolution today we will discuss about the February Revolution. Quite amazing. Russian Revolution is the sum of three revolutions. If we can say mathematically, it means we can say Russian Revolution that brought a change. It was equal to 1905 Revolution, then February Revolution of 1917 and plus October Revolution of 1917. Revolution word that we have already discussed that it bring a change. Generally it bring a political change, and whenever a political change exists, it brings about a change in the social structure, and when the political and social structure changes, then it automatically bring a economic changes. It means we have discussing about the Russian Revolution. It means there might have been a change. In Russian Revolution we have already discussed about the 1905 revolution in Russia and what changes were taking place. Actually no changes, basic changes were taking place, and it kept a path for the future revolution. Today we will discussing about the February Revolution. February Revolution in 1917. It took place in 1970. Much later after the starting of the First World War. First World War started in 1914. Russia did participate into it, and we have already discussed in the previous video that Russia participated because the Austro-Hungarian Empire had attacked the Serbia, and Serbia was the ally. They also wanted to participate in way they wanted to glorify and dignify their military power. That's why it had joined it. The February Revolution, if we see the date, the basically date that exists in the month of the February according to the Julian calendar. According to the Julian calendar, it was 23rd February to 3rd March 1917. It was according to Julian calendar, but according to the Gregorian calendars it was a little bit different. It was from the 8 March to 16 March 1970. The date differ by 13 days that we have already discussed. Now date we have got it according to the Julian calendar, according to the Gregorian calendars. Now one thing comes in our mind, what may be the causes of the revolution and what was the immediate cause, immediate action. First we take it in the broad range, what were coming in the mind of the peoples, and mind of the peoples were being washed out and taken a shape by the revolutionary parties. It was the Bolshevik party, it was the other parties who were shaping the mind of the peoples. Before 1914, political parties and any forming of any associations was illegal. It means whatever the political party they were acting, they were illegals, but it means in the government view they were illegals, and from the government point of view they were doing illegally works. We have seen and we have read already in the previous video, in the textbook also, there was a unrest, civil and military unrest in the society was there between the Jar, between the peasants and the armed forces. There was a continuous unrest between all these peoples. It means it was a dry fuel which required a fire to burn out. In the meantime, the First World War started. And when the First World War started, actually they wanted to regain their lost prestige, and when they had lost the prestige, they have lost the prestige in 1905 when they were defeated badly by a small country of Asia, that is by the Japan. Russia is the biggest country in the world. It was defeated by a small country. Then we summarize another reason also. In the First World War, we have just discussed that the Russia participated in the view of gaining the lost prestige. Initially, they got the victories. Russia was fighting on the Eastern Front. They got victory. They penetrated in the Germany Empire till 1915. After that, it has to face many defeat in the hand of the Germany and the Austria. Then discussion started in the Russia itself whether to continue war or not to continue war. Vladimir Lenin, who was the head of the Bolshevik party, they wanted that war should come to an end. They were not in favor of the war. He was given the exile and he had taken the shelter in the Switzerland. It was a controversy, and we have already discussed that initially Tsar had taken the suggestion and support of the opposition party. Means opposition party, we cannot say it. Now we are using the word opposition party because political party was illegal. So how can we say the opposition party? But the party which was existing, and they had the main role in the minding the public opinions, they were taking the support. It means they were also taking the consent of the Duma. But later on they left it. When they were many defeat the Tsar Nicholas II, himself took the command of the armed forces. Tsar Nicholas II as the commander of armed forces at the Eastern Front during the First World War, and went onto the front. While taking the command onto the armed forces in the hope to encourage the military courage of the military, boost the courage of the military, but he was a failure in all the front. He could not prove himself as a good leader. He was engaged, see the another situation. He was engaged in the war in the front, and First World War started from 1914 to lasted in 1918. So although he was forced to draw back from the First World War in 1917, still he was on the front. If he was on the front, then he was not available for the governorship. Then who would govern? Then the state was governed by his wife, who was very unpopular. Why she was unpopular? Because she had the origin from the Germany, and Russia was fighting against the Germany. And his wife Jariana was under the influence of a priest, Catholic priest. He was the Rasputin. He is Rasputin, the Catholic priest in Russia, was a great influence in royal family. This caricature shows how Rasputin had introduced his influence in the royal family. Rasputin had a great influence in the royal family because he had cured one of the members. So he was simply going to the royal family, and when the Tsar Nicholas was fighting and leading the army at the front, and in the center it was being governed by the queen, means wife of Tsar Nicholas, and she was under the great influence of the Rasputin. Only not the she was, but the Tsar Nicholas was also very much influenced by the Rasputin. See, these conditions worsened the situation because it was blamed that the queen is acting as a spy for the Germany, and the defeat that the Russia was getting in the hand of the Germany, they were simply blamed that all the secret is being transported to the Germany empire because she was from the Germany. It means during the First World War, situation was getting from bad to worse. Nicholas himself could not prove a good commander. He could not regain the moral high of the army, and the defeat continued. In the countryside itself, the occurrence of the famine, and due to the occurrence of the famine, shortage of food had taken place. And the announcement of the king that they are going to rationing the food, it simply agitated the common peoples. राशन के हिसाब से सब कुछ जरूरत के हिसाब से मिलेगा. So it simply agitated the common people. That we have got it. Agitated peoples. This was the reason. Then another reason was also there. The reason that we can summarize that refugee that was coming from the First World War had worsened the situation. It means all were acting as a few. Now we will discuss about the event of the February Revolution. Now, events of February Revolution. This time we are going to write the date that is according to the Julian calendar, and if we are not writing the date of the Julian calendar, then the February Revolution would not be satisfied, or it will not be proved to write it. Then the event started from 22nd of February. Actually, it started from the 23rd, but we have to see what happened on the 22nd of February. One industries we have talked about, Pitlock Iron Industries. And Pitlock Iron Industries was the source of 1905 revolution when the 4 members were simply dismissed. Here also the workers of the Pitlock Iron Industries were demanding the better wages, but the management or factory owners refused to accept their demand. So first lockout took place on the 2nd. Lockout took place where on the 22nd February, and where it was in the Pitlock iron industries. All happened at the Petrograd. Petrograd was the name of St. Petersburg. In 1914, its name was changed from the St. Petersburg to Petrograd because St. Petersburg name was resembling the German origin. That's why it was changed, the Petrograd. In their support, on 23rd February, all in the condition of 1917, we are talking about 1917. From the 50 industries, workers went on the strike. And what are the most striking features of the 23rd February? According to Gregorian calendars, it is 8th March. And since the peoples were going to strike, and most of the strikes were organized by the women's, leaders were women, so 8 March, according to Gregorian calendars, it was described as the International Women's Day. It is important. International Women's Day from the 1917 itself. It was, according to the Julian calendar, it was 23rd February, but according to the Gregorian calendars, it was the 8th March. Then it is coming the 24th of February. Here people went there, and around 2 lakhs people simply reached the fashionable city. It means number of people were increasing very fast. Workers gathering at Petersburg during the February Revolution. More and more people were joining this strikes. We can't say revolution at that time. Strikes, more and more people were joining these strikes. One factory, 50 factories, many factories, 2 lakhs, and by the 25th February, almost all the industrial units were closed, means shut down. Closed means shut down, work were stopped, it was a strike, and all the workers went to the fashionable cities. And in response, the king had to call the army, and at that time king was not in the capital city. At that time the St. Petersburg, or we can say Petrograd, was the capital city, and he was not present. When he was returning, he simply learned to that people were targeting him. He was anyhow tried to reach his capital, but he could not. He was stopped, his train was diverted, so he was not talking to anybody else. So 25th, till we are going to the 25th, the number of people is increasing. The rulers also suspended the Duma. Duma means it was the state parliament. It was suspended, not the dissolved. It was suspended. The Duma. Cavalry was called. A cavalry was called means horsemen was called to keep an eye on these revolutionary peoples. Then another date that is come. It is the coming of the 26th February. Another date that is coming, it is the 26th February. On the 26th February, another peoples were going to the township. Means again, the peoples were simply packed, total Moscow city was completely packed with the workers, revolutionary workers. Now we can say now just come to the 27th February. On the 27th February, few things happened. And what was the happening? The happening was the police headquarters was ransacked. Even cavalry was called again, military was called again, but they refused to fire on the demonstrators. There was a mutiny also in the army in the Petrograd, and they joined this group, means revolutionary workers. Earlier they were only the industrial workers. Now the industrial workers were joined by the military, means army forces, who were stationed in the Petrograd or St. Petersburg. They were demanding, the demand increases, bread. They were demanding about the better working hour. They were demanding about the constitution. Means they were demanding the essential things they were in need. Then in the same time of the 27th February, a Petrograd Soviet was formed. Means they were the acting or representing as the representing body of army and the workers. Duma was already there. These people had met in the place where Duma used to meet. It was the Soviet. This is the photograph of Petrograd Soviet or provisional government that was formed after the February Revolution. And on 28 February, delegates of the army went to meet the ruler and asked him to abdicate, means leave the throne. By sensing the danger, on 2nd March, the Tsar Nicholas II abdicated the throne, and it was the end of monarchy system or Romanov dynasty in Russia, and provisional government was formed. This was the hierarchy of the situations of the February Revolution. What happened in the February Revolution? Now, changes, we have to discuss about the changes took place just after the February Revolution. What changes took place? First, you can say it was the provisional government was formed. According to Julian calendar that we are talking about the 3rd March, according to the Gregorian calendars that we are talking about the 15 and 16 March, by 15 March, because provisional government was formed on the 15 March, it starts influence work on the 16 March. That's why date has been taken from the 8 to 16. And when the government formed, they tried to give the freedom to the peoples for which the demonstrations were taking place, and peoples were continuously the demanding. For the freedom of speech. Peoples were given the freedom of speech as soon as the provisional government came to the power. Then they were given also freedom to the press. During the monarchical rule, press was not free. It means people have no any idea about the government's work, means the king's work. So freedom of speech were given, this is a fundamental rights. Freedom of press is given, which is necessary. Now, formation of association that we are talking about, all the associations and political entity were illegal before 1914. Between the war, everything was banned. But as soon as the provisional government came to power, they gave the formation of association, unions, and rights to strike. It was also given the right to strike. Right to strike was not made illegals. It was given the rights. This government proposed for the election of the Constituent Assembly, and why the Constituent Assembly? For the formation of the Constitution, so that the country could be run. Restrictions, whatever the restrictions were made on the public meetings and the associations, it was removed, it was left out. People were free to conduct the public meetings which were not legal at that time. It means we are finding that all the work which were considered illegal at that times, which were necessary, now they have been given the rights. Petrograd Soviet that we have talked about, the Petrograd Soviet was formed, means they were representing as the representative of the workers, industrial workers and the soldiers in the Petrograd, that is the St. Petersburg. This type of associations started forming everywhere. This was not the list. Factory committee was formed. It means trade union came into existence. Labor union came into exist. Committee, factory committee, it was related to labor union. And when the labor union came into begins, when they got the powers, because they have formed the associations, they have formed the unions, they started questioning the way the industrial ran the factory. It means all the property is being shared by the factory owners itself. So there should be a limit on this one, how they are running the factory. Another change that we are seeing, that trade unions grew in numbers. We were discussing the formation of trade unions, formation of the labor unions. Labor unions started questioning about the way that the factory owners were running the industries. In the meantime, when it all happening, the Lenin, who was exiled, he returned to Russia, and when he returns, he brought a proposal. It is called April Thesis. In April Thesis, there were the 10 points, but the main points that we try to know, understand it, they were trying to say war to be brought to a close. This Bolshevik, Lenin was the head of the Bolshevik party, and Bolshevik party from the very beginning he was against the war, because the war has depleted the resources of Russia. Its industries went down, agriculture's crop were destroyed, many able-bodied peoples were killed in the front, so they were against the war. So their demand was in April Thesis that war to be brought to a close. लड़ाई बंद हो जाना चाहिए. It should not be continued because it had the adverse effect on the economy of the country and also the population. Then land to be transferred to the peasants, because we have read in the socialist society, Lenin was thinking that socialist society may not happen because many farmers are poor, they are landless, they should be given the land to bring on the equal platform. So his demand that the noble or aristocrats who had the more land, taking land, and it should be distributed to the peasants. It means land to the farmers or peasants. It was his another demands. Then banks to be nationalized. The three basic demands that we think it was in the April Thesis. First was war to be brought to a close, then land to be transferred to the peasants, then banks be nationalized. In the meantime, in the same years, The Bolshevik party changed its name and it became the Communist Party of Russia. In the same way, this Lenin had changed and it became the Communist Party of Russia. Name changed and become the Communist Party of Russia. At the same time, peasants and their socialist revolutionary, because demand were theirs, the peasants and their socialist revolutionary leaders pressed for a redistribution of land. They started demanding that land should be redistributed, and the peasants started taking back the land. If the peasants has got the land, it means we can say that the social structure, we find a change in the social structure. The two types of basic changes we find according to the February Revolution, that it was the end of the Romanov dynasty, means Tsar Nicholas II was the last emperor or ruler of Russia. And after that, it was the formation of constitution and elected government was there. It means there was no rule of monarch. Monarch rule came to an end. This is a political change. People had no any freedom. Now we are finding the provisional government has given them the freedom. This change we find. And in society, the farmers started taking the lands because land were demanding the redistribution of land should be theirs. Peasants started grabbing the land till the September. It means a social structure change in the social structure is taking place. Till this we have got it that the February Revolution and its effect. Then one revolution is still left because we are not discussing the October revolutions. They are not able to complete the Russian Revolution. We have discussed the 1905 revolution. Today we have discussed about the February revolutions and what was its impact of the February Revolution. So go through this video and also your textbook to enhance your information.